सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I'll share my screen.
So what's speaking of here in this verse in the Bhagavatam is mixed.
Is it audible, Mataji's, Prabhuji's?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you.
ప్రభు కొంచెం సౌండ్ బెటరా?
Comma without.
మాతాజీ ఈ సౌండ్ కొద్ది తక్కువ ఉంది మాతాజీ. ఇయర్ ఫోన్స్ పెట్టుకుంటే బాగా వినపడుతుంది.
ఓకే ప్రభు, థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Material desire, a comma, sarva kama, all material desire, moksha kama, a desire for liberation. Whatever one's position is, one should tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. One should accept that worship of purusham param. Purusha means person, a man or a human, a being, and in this context it's the Lord, the Supreme Lord, Purusham Purnam, the complete person, or as the word is there in the purport, Purushottama, Purusha Uttama. Purusha Uttama, or Para Tattva. I just came across making this presentation yesterday morning to the Chinese devotees about the four brothers in Ramayana, and each of them had a certain characteristic. And Ramachandra's characteristic is and this is the Sri Vaishnava picture, Para Tattva, Para Tattvam. He's the Tvam, establishing the characteristic of the Supreme Being. And the others, they're manifestations of the Supreme Being in the mood of the servant of the Supreme Being. They're manifestations of the Supreme Being in the mood of the worshipper. So one is Lakshman, this is just a little education. He is Sheshatvam. He is completely attached to being in service to Ram. To the extent that when Ram says, I'm going to the forest, you stay here and take care of our mothers, he says, I'm going with you. I want to be engaged in your service. Our other brothers, they can look after our mothers. I'm going with you. So Ram accepted. You can come with me. But there's another Paratantriyam that's Bharata. And when Ram said, you go back to Ayodhya and rule the kingdom, he had a clever way of doing it. He was doing it on behalf of Ram, by worshipping his shoes, and the shoes sit on the throne, not him. But he is obedient to the instructions of. Doesn't have to be in the presence of. He is obedient to the instructions of. And then the description, this is the Sri Vaishnava outlook, they have these nice terms, is Shatrugna and Dasyatvam. So that Tvam is having the quality or characteristic of something. So he has the characteristic of serving the devotee. Shatrughna's position was not serving Ram directly or serving the instructions of Ram, serving the devotees of Ram. Dasa Dasa Anudas, that Mahaprabhu's teaching. Dasyatvam. So these have, in the spiritual realm, there's diversity, which is nice. And although they're brothers and so united, each of them confined by, Ram's confined by his dedication to virtue or dharma. And of course, there's other emotions, but it's guided by that dedication to dharma. And then the others. Their service to the Supreme in different moods, which is, they're all perfect. Yet, at least the commentators say, Shatrughna is especially appreciated because he was prepared to serve the devotee, which makes him even more dear to the Lord than one who's serving the Lord. You serve the servant of the Lord, automatically and naturally it makes one very dear to the Lord. Now one's heart has to be oriented to that spiritual position to feel it, but it's nonetheless a fact from the position of tattva. Okay, so back to the verse. The chapter is pure devotional service. So going back, Canto 2, Chapter 1 is a description of the universal form. And after describing this amazing feature of the universal form, there's a shift in focus from the universal form to the feature of Paramatma. And then there's a shift from the feature of Paramatma to the feature of Bhagavan. And the feature of Bhagavan is focused by the means of bhakti. So pure devotional service. So what's pure devotional service? And that's what the chapter is about. So this is saying the mixed, even if one has a mixed position, engage in bhakti. Tivra bhakti, because it's so tivra, it's so forceful, it can purify the mix and leave one with shuddha or uttam bhakti. So the verse, one of the terms in the verse is udara di. Di, it indicates intelligence, and udara means broad intelligence. So the person with broad intelligence, even they have a mix, I need to fulfill my mix by going to the Supreme and rendering service. Then the condemnation is worshipping demigods without that intelligence. I just worship the demigods, they're gift-giving persons, and I don't see who's behind them. I don't even acknowledge. There's no need to, because I get what I want, and that's not broad intelligence. And the broad intelligence is, even I want something, I go to God for that something. Or the bestowers of gifts, because they bestow gifts on behalf of God. So in other words, this whole chapter is helping Maharaj Parikshit and similarly helping the audience of Bhagavatam, us, to understand what the essence of pure devotional service is. There's material consciousness with material desire in three categories. And there's the mix of those desires with devotional service, and then there's unmixed. The goal is to come to unmixed. And I find it very interesting. I'll just read it again. Bhakti yoga may be perfectly administered without any mixture of karma and gyan, as the unmixed sun ray is very forceful and is therefore called tivra. Similarly, unmixed bhakti yoga of hearing, chanting, etc. may be performed by one and all, regardless of his inner motive. That phrase caught my attention. Regardless of inner motive. It requires, as the mix is come to the position of unmixed by the power of bhakti itself, then the mix of motive can be cleansed and dissipated. It has to be. Because bhakti in principle is unmixed. Or purity is the force. Tivra. Purity is the force. And so if you're not pure, take up that which will purify. That purification means the mix is gone. And there's one thing left. Krishna Eka Sharana. And one last thing I want to repeat. Jiva Goswami's definition of desirelessness. From, doesn't say which, probably Bhakti Sandarbha. Bhajaniya Parama Purusha Sukha Matra Svasukhatvam. It's all with the dash, so it's like one word. It's a long word. Bhajaniya Parama Purusha Sukha Matra Svasukhatvam. Matra. My memory serves me right, that means in a friendly manner, in a pleasing manner. So with the contemplation, this is everything to do with intention. The contemplation that Krishna should be pleased. And then focus it more, not just contemplation, the intention, striving that Krishna alone should be pleased. That's desirelessness. That's a desire, but it's not a material desire. Material desire is mixed, or even without Krishna's desire. But pure desire, pure consciousness, or desirelessness is the cultivation, the friendly cultivation that Krishna should be pleased. It's Jiva another way of saying what Rupa Goswami says about the definition of bhakti. Anyavilashuddhashunyam jnana karma janavritam. It's another way of saying the same. Desirelessness is that. No mix. Bhakti has the power to bring one to unmixed. It's not mechanical, it's not automatic, there's not a timer on it, and when the bell rings, you're cooked. You have no more desire. But it brings one to that position. The forcefulness, the tivra capacity of bhakti can bring one to that position. Subtle, but it's nice understanding. See if there's some discussion. Nice section of the Bhagavatam.
So Guru Maharaj, in the purport, Prabhupada says, doing the outlook of doing good to others in the form of society, community, family is a partial manifestation of the same original feelings that we have in serving towards the happiness of Supreme Lord. So my two-part question is, we see it all the time, where people are trying their best to take their attention from themselves and trying to serve others. But I'm having a hard time in understanding how is that a partial manifestation. Is it because of the attention being away from ourselves to serving others, or?
Well, you said it. The source is missed, and therefore it's not what real love is, but it's directionally moving away from abject selfishness. It's a partial manifestation.
The second part is, we see that in today's youth and especially students, there is so much going on, but they're encouraged to do community service, give back to community and all that. But
what was the second thing? Community service?
And giving back to community.
Giving back to community.
And the schools are, spending...
Promoting that.
And I'm noticing that, today's youth, especially, they have this... everything that they are doing is centered around immediate gratification. You do something and then you get something out of it. And so I'm wondering, when everything that they do, the result that they're getting is a material result, how does this, or how can this be encouraged and further along so we can take them to the next level of really doing this from a selfless platform, not because you get something out of it in return?
There's two things. One is, without a center, it's futile. And the center being the source. But how willing are people to take the connection of that center? But your question was how to. And I'm indicating it's futile without a center. I'll just repeat this using two different examples. Here's one. It was very, very interesting discussion. Yogi Bhajan, a very powerful, influential Sikh leader, was visiting in Hawaii. Prabhupada was in Hawaii. He came to see Prabhupada at the Hawaii temple, inviting Prabhupada to come to a conference that he was planning in New Mexico on bringing spiritual leaders together and let them get together and love one another. That was his language. Prabhupada interrupted him and said, they will never. And then he explained, Yogi Bhajan didn't stop with that. He was saying, well, at least we have to try. And then Prabhupada was saying that without a center, without there being an accepting of a center, people may get together and express their view and hear another's view and leave, and there's no change. It's the same principle as the United Nations. It's cosmetic. So there's no... the intention is okay, but it's not going to happen because there isn't acknowledgement of a center. What's the center? The source of everything. By whatever name and label and ism, it's the principle. So your question is how to take that which education system is encouraging educators to encourage the youth to do community service and give back what you've received, how to move it to the next level. That's your question.
Yes.
without a center, it's just cosmetic. And it's not like spit on it or something, or call it a bad name, or kick it or something. It's just, they're not going to accept the center. It's a sentiment. And then, like the mind, that, like the wind blows and the air moves, and the mind moves, and later there's going to be another focus and another focus. Yes, that, it's how the material energy moves. And educators have decided, for whatever the reasons, I'm sure it's, do good for humanity by helping our young people understand, do something for humanity. Improve the quality of life by service to others. But the target is wrong. They don't know who they are. They don't know who the Supreme is. They don't know the goal of life. And they miss the target altogether. And then Prabhupada, Andha Jatangri Upagiyamana, the blind leading the blind. The teachers are blind, and the students are following the teachers, at least to some degree, trend-wise. And it's, where's it taking them? Where's a blind person going to take other blind people? So, how to take it to the next level? The educators need to be educated. Know what the self is, and what's real, the interest of the self. But they won't. I mean, largely they won't, because their attachment is the temporary, the body, their family, their society, their the body and extensions, the geometric extensions out of the body and I and mind, because the center is off. So when the educators are enlightened, then it can go to the next level. And is it going to happen? Well, slowly. And some will get it, and some won't get it. Here's a comment in response to your question. I spent some time yesterday preparing for Gita Jayanti, which is Friday. And as an example of one who became transformed by Bhagavad Gita was Nelson Mandela. And the circumstance was horrible. He was put into prison on an island and forced to do meaningless labor, meaning specifically their service every day was to go by the sea, break rocks with a hammer, and throw the broken rocks into the sea and go back to their prison cell. Every day, break rocks and throw the broken pieces into the sea. Meaningless labor. You're demeaning purposefully. This is what we do to people like you. And what we had done wrong was he had views that differed, governmental views that differed from the prevailing system at the time. So he was arrested and put in this island prison. Fortunately for him, there was an Indian man who was part of the same governmental party affiliation. He was also in the prison, and this Indian man taught him Bhagavad Gita to the point where he could recite most of the Bhagavad Gita from heart, and it governed his life. And then he later became, a martyr, became the president of the country, and led with the vision of Bhagavad Gita, at least the vision. So where are people going to get, where are the educators and leaders going to get that vision from someone who has that vision? Are they willing to submit? I don't think so. I mean, by Krishna's statement in Bhagavad Gita, it's not likely to happen. But what did Prabhupada do to take things to the next level? He made every effort to help educators and leaders to get it and then lead. I'm just listening this morning to an educator in London, and he was appealing to the educator. You want to do good, don't water the leaves of the tree. Water the root of the tree. Come and study with us, and then become a teacher, because then you can change by watering the root, not by watering the leaves. Because he was doing good for society, and Prabhupada was not speaking ill of him, just misdirected. You want to do this? Here's how you do it. Learn this teaching. Anyway, that's how to take it to the next level. Educators need to be educated. Manush.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'm audible?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Anything from anybody to share? Sorry, I continued a few minutes because question was in the middle, still going on. Yes, Mataji, Sabri Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Many nice things. And what I liked the most was desirelessness is, when Krishna is only the center, that is what actually desirelessness means. Only try to please Krishna. So that is what basically desirelessness means. That is what I like the most. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, bro. Yes.
It's just appreciation of Maharaj. Just when Mataji asked this question, so I just see like how Maharaj's mind naturally wanders to what Srila Prabhupada preached, or not only preached, he spoke, and then like how he lived those according to those principles. And his mind is always like whenever he hears something, okay, or if somebody asks a question, naturally his mind is always saturated with thoughts of what Srila Prabhupada did. So here as well, even giving an example, a person who's 24/7 living with a spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada, okay, will be able to manifest such thought process that what Srila Prabhupada did, and very naturally, he didn't even have to think a lot. Okay, just very naturally, he gives examples from the lives of Srila Prabhupada, from the life of Srila Prabhupada, what he spoke to others, and how he lived. And when he said like Paramam Purusha Sukhamatra Swasukatvam, here we can see in a very natural way like how Maharaj is actually living his life for the pleasure of his spiritual master. So that is some kind of like appreciation for him, like so every day listening again and again and again and trying to live as per the whatever he heard from Srila Prabhupada with an intention to please him. It's just like even though he tries to educate us on how to conduct our life, but seeing someone living that life gives a much more powerful example for us, at least for me, to change my life or to have some inspiration, or how I can mold my life to live like that. There's some kind of inspiration I think I can take away from today's class, like how natural it is for Maharaj, for him to just think about a spiritual master and try to live a life and also help us, inspire us to live such a life. That's just it, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, very beautifully said, Prabhu. I was also inspired by that, whatever you said. Every day he hears from Srila Prabhupada, and also what are the principles that Prabhupada said, he lives by it. He is dedicated completely. Yeah, life and soul, he dedicated. Yeah, spontaneously, he gives the examples. He heard many times He might have heard many times Srila Prabhupada lectures, but every day he hears. And as you said, live by it. So that is very inspiring. Thank you, Prabhu. Subhadra Prabhu?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yeah. So Hare Krishna. So one point which Maharaj emphasized, I felt, is with the Tivrata, means the unmixed can become into pure. So the purity is the force. So that was very hope-giving, that we have to practice with intensity. And although we acknowledge our shortcomings and all those, but if the intensity is there, then someday it will turn into unmixed bhakti. And also, I had one question regarding the answer which Maharaj gave to that Mataji. So mainly Maharaj was telling that the leaders have to be educated. So his approach was mainly telling that coming from top to bottom and top down approach. So my question is, not always it is possible to approach the leaders and educate them. So we do it in small circles to educate some groups. So means how always we have to get, means how to get encouraged by doing what we are doing at the present moment. Yes, Prabhu, that was the question.
Harisham Prabhu or Yugal Kishore Prabhu? I'm audible, right?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
So, Prabhu, leader just doesn't mean a temple president or someone. We all actually are leader in our capacity, whatever it could be. So, as a father, as a mother, as a Bhakti Ruksha leader, whatever it could be, as a office could be somewhere. So leader is just the temple, my understanding, the temple president or sannyasis or something. So especially when the question comes to the kids or something, we as a parent itself is the first teacher for them, leader for them. And so when we actually start practicing those principles, actually we are setting an example for others. And the beauty of Krishna consciousness or the beauty of Vedic culture is that, and that was one of the appreciation from today's class, is that our Lord is showing by his own example. I mean, it's so amazing. He doesn't have to do anything. He's the supreme Lord. He's beyond everything. All the three modes and modes of material nature, Daivi Prakriti, everything is under his things. Daivi Hisha Gunamai, Mama Maya Durata. It's a my energy. And Krishna, here the Maharaj was appreciating and saying about Shatrughna. So Lord is showing by his own personal example that how service to devotee is very, very important aspect. And his Lord is showing by his own example, showing that leadership that so for us it's not just about the leaders. Of course, the top-down approach will also be there. But we as a individual capacity, we have to do. Second, second point about the leadership is that because we always look towards the people, those who are on the higher position and things. So when they do that, there is always a very good possibility that the others will follow, because Bhagavad Gita 3.21 says that when the leaders are doing, just setting an example, why did Lord Ramchandra, Bhagavan Prabhu Ramchandra ji did that? To set an example. Lord Krishna said, I don't have to do anything. But he's still doing that because to set an example. When the great personality in the society do that, the others naturally follow, because it is very easy to follow someone who is above us in a way different ways. Now we know that there are different ways that he can be above us, by experience, by age, by knowledge, by position. That we heard about Maharaj from Maharaj on the first class about the culture and spiritual culture and the Vaishnava etiquette. In that we have seen that because there is a receptivity, there is a respect, and when there is more respect, it is easy to follow them. So there are both the ways are there. It is just not about the leaders. Leaders is very natural to follow with that. Second thing is that we also have an individual as a leader within us in a different capacity. So we can also set an example. So some points from me, Prabhu. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. And one more angle is, Prabhu, if we are not capable, we can seek the guidance from the other Vaishnavas who is capable of doing that. If we know some schools or some other colleges or universities, we can take others' help in doing that. So that way, we'll, try to facilitate in inspiring the leaders. Anyone else?
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah. Thank you for that detailed answers. Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Anwalla Prabhu,
Yes.
I'm not sure, was it only for me, but audio level was very low, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. This class itself is very low, Prabhu. Somehow
Okay.
there is a mic issue or something. So if you put earphones, then it is little clear only.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Anyone else? Shamkun Prabhu, anything from your side today?
Nothing, Prabhu. Nothing from my side, Prabhu.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll close the call for today. We'll continue next week. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
अनुत्तम माताजी, थैंक यू। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.